didn't just happen by accident. Today is April 12th, 2026. April is National Fair Housing Month, and I've committed to posting a fair housing video every day in April. Back in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, the federal government created programs to stabilize the housing market, mainly through the Homeowners Loan Corporation, or HOLC, and later the Federal Housing Administration, or FHA. These agencies created maps of cities across the United States to determine which areas were safe for mortgage lending. And while the term safe was used, further examination showed that it was solely based on racial composition. Neighborhoods were graded from A to D. A areas were white, affluent neighborhoods. They were marked in green and considered the best investments. D areas were neighborhoods where black families and other minorities lived. They were outlined in red. That's where the term redlining comes from. If a neighborhood was redlined, banks were discouraged or forbidden to give mortgages there, and they were not given the backing by FHA. So even in the very rare instance where a loan was made in those areas, the loans were predatory in nature with higher rates, higher fees, and worse terms. And this wasn't just unofficial behavior. FHA underwriting guidelines actually supported this system. They recommended avoiding areas with what they called inharmonious racial groups and encouraged lending only in neighborhoods that were racially homogeneous, but that homogeneous race had to be white. So what did that do? It meant families in redlined areas couldn't get loans to buy homes. They couldn't invest or improve their properties, and they were locked out of building generational wealth through home ownership. Meanwhile, white families in approved areas had access to low-cost, government-backed loans. And that wealth has compounded over generations. Even though redlining was outlawed with the Fair Housing Act of 1968, the effects didn't disappear overnight. In fact, we still see lower home values in historically redlined areas, less access to credit in those areas, and long-term gaps in wealth and homeownership rates. So when we talk about fairness in housing today, this is part of the history we're working to move beyond. And as a real estate professional, it's important to understand this history because equal access to housing isn't just about today. It's about correcting patterns from the past. If you ever have questions about your rights or the home buying process, I'm here to help.